So, one of the great tragedies or casualties of cancel culture, as it is known, is not necessarily who has been canceled, because there is a spectrum, right? Some people have been canceled, whatever that word means, maybe exiled from polite society. Some people have been canceled because it turns out that they were predators and rapists, like Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby, or any number of other really horrible people who have done terrible, fucking messed up things. They have been canceled. And yet there are also people who have maybe just made bad jokes in the past on Twitter, and they have also been canceled. So what does it really mean? I don't know. And that's what I'm getting at. The great tragedy of cancel culture and the political and culture war surrounding cancel culture is the death of nuance. Because the people who are doing a lot of the canceling can go after you for the smallest and most ridiculous things. And not just always rich and powerful people like Mel Gibson or Johnny Depp, but, small fries, reporters, people who own businesses, small businesses, bakers, right? There's a story from a few years ago during the BLM protests and riots. Reporter Lee Fang, who was at The Intercept at the time, had been sort of in a little tiff with some of his fellow Intercept journalists. And at one point, he interviewed some people at a protest, and one of the young black men that he interviewed told him that he wished that the conversation wasn't just about police violence, but also black-on-black violence, violence within the communities that was a real problem in this person's life and in the world that he lived in. Which is something that if you actually poll people, if you actually ask people who live in inner cities and whatnot, they will, you can see the data on this. A lot of people say, the police abuse issue is way, way down the list. And a lot of people actually want more police because of gang violence and other associated violence. So that's all this guy said. And then Fang tweeted, asked everyone I spoke with today if there was anything they wanted to get off their chest about the movement. Max from Oakland, a supporter of BLM, had a measured critique he wanted to share. This tweet ended up causing a shitstorm sparked by other fellow journalists at The Intercept who called Fang a racist, who said that his reporting was putting black reporters' lives at risk, and so on and so forth. Essentially did their very best to destroy and torpedo his career and cancel him. Li Fang is, by the way, an Asian American, and still, it doesn't matter. He was forced to apologize. This is the kind of cancellation that really bothers me. Maybe it just hits a little close to home because, there have been plenty of times where they've tried to cancel me. I guess you can't report on things like Gamergate without just denouncing gamers and denouncing, everyone involved, or you are history's greatest monster. Even if you try to frame the events leading up to Gamergate in a neutral sort of way, you are actually the founder of the alt-right. I literally was called that. This is the kind of cancellation that really bothers me, much more than celebrities getting canceled. Rich people, famous people, people whose lives are all pretty much set, like Mel Gibson, who I'm a huge fan of Mel Gibson, even despite the shitty things he said in the past. You can't really cancel him any more than you can cancel Eminem or cancel Robert Downey Jr. for Tropic Thunder, which always makes me laugh. What do you mean, you people? But you can cancel, and you can do real harm to normal people with cancel culture. So the other side of this coin is that people reflexively act as though if someone's accused of something, that that you have to prove that they're guilty or they're innocent in the court of public opinion, no matter what. So we'll talk about Justin Roiland, right? He has been charged, not just accused, but charged with assault. This is not the same as just being accused on Twitter of assault. The police, the district attorney, they have determined that there is enough evidence to at least bring it to court. That is, first of all, one very big difference here compared to a lot of people who are just accused on Twitter of something vague and bad. But even so, Justin Roiland is innocent in a court of law until proven guilty. That is the system we have, thank God. It could turn out that it's all bogus and that he didn't do anything wrong. But there's more to the Justin Roiland story than just the assault charges, because after those charges came out, so did a lot of people on social media and things and people posting stuff that Justin Roiland has said himself. And a lot of this stuff is really disturbing. To me, it's disturbing. And I think it paints a pretty clear picture of somebody who is a creep. A lot of DMs with underage girls calling them jailbait, saying that as soon as they turn 18, they should become a cam whore, making very lewd sexual comments to girls who are underage, talking about in, podcasts and whatnot about how, he has this one line that's been going around and I listened to it, talking about how, 100 years ago, 13-year-olds, it was, they were fine to start making babies and now we're so precious about it, he says. That is gross to me. 100 years ago, not many 13-year-olds were actually getting married off. 100 years ago is still pretty modern times. Yes, that did happen. It still happens in parts of the world. But we're not being precious about it. We're acknowledging that 13-year-old girls, even if they have the anatomy of a woman, do not have should not be married off to old men. That's barbaric, and not in a good way, not in a Conan the Barbarian way, right? This sort of, I always say, if one person just goes and accuses someone randomly on Twitter or something, yeah, obviously you shouldn't take it seriously because it's just one person accusing someone on Twitter. If 18 different people, have come out and then at this event, this happened, and all these corroborating stories come out about somebody, and there's receipts, and there's text messages, and those people were there, and there's witnesses that they were hanging out together, and there's a whole paper trail of evidence suggesting that somebody has acted very, very badly, you're not canceling them for saying, this person is gross, and I don't want to work with them anymore, and I don't want them around because they creep me out, and they should probably get fired because they are bringing this bad reputation to the TV show they're working on, the game they're working, whatever. Again, this is not for having wrongthink. I discussed at length the whole, Hogwarts Legacy producer who the Games Press tried to throw under the bus because he had a YouTube channel where he criticized Anita Sarkeesian and The Last Jedi. That's cancel culture being atrocious. But when you see a guy trying to make sexual comments to a 15-year-old, that's not the same thing. And it bothers me that people treat it the same because there we go. It's the casualty. It's the death of nuance. Yes, as a critic of cancel culture, I often am bothered by those who do the canceling. But I find people who defend people at all costs, despite all evidence to the contrary, equally absurd. I'll do my usual caveat here that I'm not trying to do the both sidesism thing. That's a straw man directed at people who are trying to be reasonable. You try to be reasonable and you say, look, these psychopaths over here and these nut jobs over here, they're all assholes. They're assholes. They're doing the same thing from opposite ends. And people are like, oh, get off the fence. You have to pick a side. I'm like, fuck sides. Both these sides are crazy. I am my own side. I don't have to pick a side between this crazy asshole and this crazy asshole. No, I'm not going to do it. I didn't want to do it during Gamergate either. There were absolute misogynistic assholes that were pushing Gamergate. And then there were a lot of really just decent people who were mad about other stuff. Had nothing to do with women in games. And then there were the other side, a bunch of assholes who were, inflaming this whole war because they wanted clicks. And they're, just all these articles about gamers are dead and we don't need, you're not on the fence when you're just pointing out all the assholes around you. And so so this Roiland situation, if it was just the charges, well, obviously I don't want to say he's guilty until he's proven to be guilty. But all this other stuff adds up in my mind. And maybe that's because I'm the father of a teenage daughter. If a, guy my age, basically, I don't know how old Justin Roiland is, but I think he's roughly my age. If he was messaging my daughter, telling her she should be a cam whore when she turned 18, I would want to kick the guy's ass. And if I want to kick the guy's ass, then I don't have much sympathy for him when he gets canceled for making his own bed here. I'm sorry. You don't go get okay, fine. I know you do stupid things when you get drunk. Like, we all do stupid things, but messaging underage girls and talking about underage girls this way is a totally different ballgame. So that's, there is nuance here. You cannot escape it. Even if you want to try to kill the nuance, it will be there still. It is immortal. It is invulnerable to all your bullshit. The nuance will survive, but we have to protect it and cultivate it. It is a holy quest to maintain the garden of nuance in our public discourse. I think cancel culture is a problem, but I don't think we should be defending people who have clearly been established as sexual abusers or just awful people in other ways. And I don't mean that they yelled at you when they were your boss. Bad bosses exist. But if your boss, if you're a 15-year-old girl or boy and your boss tried to get in your pants, they should get canceled. They should get fired or arrested. Like, yes, I think it's really dumb when people are like, there's consequences for your actions, when your actions were like, I don't like Anita Sarkeesian's videos. No, there should not be consequences for having a different political opinion. But there should be consequences for being a creepy, pervy asshole who tries to get in the pants of 15-year-old girls when they're 40 years old. And I'm sorry. The last thing I'm going to say on this is when people are like, I don't believe accusations. They're just accusations. Well, tell that to somebody who has been sexually assaulted. Oftentimes, people who have suffered alone. They were abused by somebody, and it's just their word against their abuser's word. Who often has more power, who's older or wealthier or more well-known than they are. A teacher or an uncle or the creator of a TV show who you're a fan of, or whatever. Like, they have the upper hand, and you only have an accusation. Now, have some empathy for those people. Yes, there are liars out there. Yes, there are people who make frivolous and damaging and absurd accusations on Twitter, but there are also victims who only have their word against somebody else's word. And having empathy is a big part of what makes us human. So, yes, let us defend nuance and empathy, and all the things that conspire toward justice. And that's my opinion on this. Take it or leave it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, argue in the comments, be excellent to each other. Peace.